Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live. It's been a few weeks since I've done one of these, I believe. So it is almost 30th of June. So I thought definitely a great time to get in and do a live. What are we, the 29th? We've got 2 days to go. I see Chris has already joined in. Super excited for this. Nice to hang out and chat. So I appreciate you swinging by. And yeah, so it's almost 30th of June. So definitely tonight's main topic is going to be end of financial year. So I'll cover a few topics talking about, just what end of financial year really means. Is there anything you should be doing pre-30th of June, which I'd hope you've already done, but tomorrow is the last day. So if there is, I'll talk about that. Then I'll talk about a bit what happens in July, some of the key deadlines, dates, things that need to happen, a little bit what my July looks like. I'll talk about then August ongoing, what kind of happens after July, what happens next, how long does tax time last for, what kind of deadlines do you need to make sure you meet. And then I'm going to touch on the Rooshock's NFT project. Got some really exciting changes that are happening there. I'm really excited about what that brings over the next 3 to 6 months. That's really exciting with some stuff launching hopefully in the next month or two. So, yeah, end of financial year. I'm sure you'll be seeing heaps of stuff. Well, you probably have been seeing it over the last few weeks of end of financial year sales, and there'll be lots of things going out about getting your tax done before end of, ASAP, and refunds, and media will be going to about tax changes and all these fun things. So I've got a video. I think I did a video the other day talking about tax. I've got like all my videos in the future at YouTube for the next month or so will be pretty much all heavily tax focused or start a financial year focused. So I do have a really exciting one that is scheduled to come out tomorrow, I believe, which is all about maximizing your return for 2022. So whether you do your own return or whether you go through an agent, I really think there's some good bits and pieces in there that hopefully provide you with plenty of value, whether it's changes to tax laws for 2022 or whether it's about new deductions you potentially can claim, how the $420 LMITO increase works, and some of those tried and true deductions that you need to make sure you're on top of. So that's a little bit of what's coming up on the YouTube channel. I hope you have checked out the video I did Sunday that come out. That was a really exciting one to bring out. And that's what I'm trying to do, is provide, value to people when it comes to tax time about how certain things will work, because I know we're so close to end of financial year. So, and obviously through June when people are trying to lodge returns. So talking about pre-30th of June is that obviously there are things that, 30th of June is a hard deadline when it comes to tax. That's our end of financial year. So if there are things that you were going to do, it needs to happen by end of business or end of day 30th of June. So that's, just what you have to do. So if you've got that deduction, you need to buy a new uniform and you're wanting to claim it in this year's return, it needs to happen tomorrow. Like, these are the things that I've been talking about on the channel for probably 3 months now, leading up to 30th of June. This is what you need to be doing. You need to understand your tax position. And I had, a good conversation with a client today where he was a little bit, we've gone through and we've been able to identify his tax position, put a plan in place on, how much tax is going to be owing. There's quite a large amount. Where's he going to pull those funds from? When does he pull those funds, etc. And, just through that conversation alone, hopefully there'll be maybe $10,000 in tax savings just by having that conversation today and not in a week's time. So they're the kind of things that, pre-30th of June I've been harping on about, and it's, it's probably getting a bit late to do any kind of major tax planning. I did some stuff for myself yesterday, going through, finalizing. I did initial planning in April. I tweaked it again in May. And then I had that final look yesterday, did a few transactions I needed to do prior to end of June. And then I've done it with a couple of days to spare. I don't need to be stressing about it tomorrow. So it's, doing those things. And then there's some stuff I'm going to do on 1st of July once the new year clicks over. So, yeah. If you could buy one more thing before end of financial year that makes sense before a new financial year, what would it be? That's a good one, Chris. Let's see. I mean, I guess if you're talking about a tax deduction-wise, and it's 30th of June, it's the last thing you can do. Some simple things. If you're wanting tax deductions, maybe a donation to charity. If you've been considering doing it, do it now. Do that good deed and get that in by 30th of June. Or is it some kind of, maybe it's software fees. That's probably the other one, is like, okay, you're going to be paying for some crypto tax software or share site or something like that. Why not pay for it tomorrow? Get that deduction in. A lot of those companies now offering discount codes. I know a lot of them, 20% off, 25% off, trying to get you in before end of financial year. So might as well spend it in that year and get that deduction brought forward. So yeah, pre-30th June. Look, if you're looking to make a super contribution, you've probably left it too late. That's one thing that you'd have to check. I'd be on the phone to your super fund and saying, is this going to happen? Because it's unlikely. You've probably left that too late. But yeah, that's why, I've been harping on about it for a couple of months, is doing all the prep work well and truly early. I did all my tax planning with my business clients back in April, trying to get these things organized. So come 30th of June, we're not stressing. This week hasn't been too bad for me, all my clients, because we got the prep work done nice and early. So g'day, Captain Opshop Nerd. Thank you for swinging by. Hope you're well. And I do have a few questions that were asked over on the Instagram. So I do try and put up the questions on Instagram the day before I do these lives. So I'll jump onto that. So let's talk about July. What does July mean? Obviously, from 1st of July, you're going to be able to lodge your tax return. So I've already had people wanting to lodge theirs already. So I've told them they're going to have to wait till at least Friday. I've got a few phone appointments to do returns Friday morning. So people definitely don't like to sit around and wait. You've got to wait for your information to be tax ready. So I think tax ready is the terminology the ATO are using this year, which means your employer has finalized the information with the ATO. You've got the green, you've got the all go ahead to lodge. So until your information is tax ready with your employer, you should not be lodging because it hasn't been finalized. They may not have processed their final pay run for the year. Maybe they haven't, added in your FBT information, or maybe they've actually found some issues in their payroll software and haven't finalized it. So until it's finalized, you run the risk that you're going to lodge and then it's going to need to be amended. So wait till you've got that tax ready tick. There's going to be information that won't be there on day one. Information from banks, private healthcare, investment. Like a lot of this stuff is not going to be available on 1st of July. So you've got to understand, if you're going to lodge on 1st of July, you need to understand it's unlikely you're going to have all your information available to you. Therefore, you are running the risk that an audit happens, or they do an amendment anyway because you haven't got it right. And the last thing you're probably going to want to do is get $10,000 back and then owe $1,000 of it. You'd rather just get the $9,000. So be careful if you're lodging early. I'll do plenty of returns early. Like the thing is, even if you lodge early, the ATO don't normally process until probably about 6 or 7. So I'll do returns. Like I said, I've got some on the 1st of July. Then it goes into a weekend. I've got quite a few on the Monday, the Tuesday, the following week. I'll give all these disclaimers I've just given you to those clients. And even if I lodge them on the 1st of July, they won't be processed till normally they start processing anywhere between, say, the 7th and 14th of July. And quite often, what I've found in previous years, those that have lodged 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, they all get processed at pretty much the same time. So it's not like they start from those on the 1st of July. So don't stress about getting it done Friday. It's a weekend, maybe Monday onwards next week. Have a look at it over the weekend, start organizing your stuff. But yeah, not rushing if I have to pay money back to the man. Yeah, and that's the thing. Some people are like, well, you rush to get it done. I got to owe money, but it's those that want the refund. They rush to get it. There's going to be a lot of people rushing this year. You're going to see all the, advertisements about the $420 extra you're going to get back for the LMITO. It's going to be covered again in my video this week. I've done videos talking about it, the budget stuff. That's all going to be included. You don't have to do anything extra for it. But yeah, that's the thing. I understand people want to get their return done nice and early, but there isn't a rush. It's not a race. Like, don't stress about that if you don't have it done on the first week of July. I think some people think it's got to be done like ASAP, like you've got to get it done. But yeah, it all still does make sense that people do want to get it done early, but you're just going to wait till you get all that information. Like, get all that information collated so that you're doing it once. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be doing it, then you have to go back and do an amendment. That's extra work for you. Or if you're going through an agent, they're potentially going to charge you. If they've done it, and you've told them it's finalized and then information changes and they have to do extra work, you're probably going to get slugged another set of fees. Doesn't really make sense to do that. So I'm keen to get it done as I'm confident I'll be pocketing. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're getting refunds, I'm all for wanting to get it done as soon as possible. That makes sense, especially if you're getting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 back. Of course, you're going to want that money back ASAP. I always lodge mine if I'm getting a refund as early as possible, but as early as possible correctly. That's the thing. I've never had to then go and adjust because I always wait till I've got all my information. So yeah, that's what July looks like. There's plenty of business deadlines in July as well. So businesses do have until the 14th of July to actually make your information tax ready. So they finalize the STP, the single touch payroll data. So that doesn't have to happen until 14th of July. So don't be concerned if it's not tax ready. They do still have 2 weeks. There's nothing you can do about it. If it goes past that, speak to them. Ask your payroll, when is that going to happen? If you're in the ATO, they'll probably tell you to turn around and go back to your payroll as a starting point. But yeah, they have, until that date. So don't stress about that. Some people are already ready. I know for my own employees, like I've only got, a couple internal employees kind of thing. I employ myself. but I've already finalized that. So that's already sitting as tax ready. But other businesses may not. So it goes up when your last payment. So if you're still getting paid tomorrow, there's no way yours will be finalized because your payment is going to be tomorrow. If you're on monthly pays and you got, paid a couple of weeks ago, you could have already had yours tax ready. So g'day Chance, g'day Drew and Sarah. Thanks for swinging by. And yeah, so for businesses, if you've got an ABN one, keep an eye out if you're on pays to go installments because they will come through in July. You've got that payroll deadline. If you've got any kind of work cover, so here in South Australia, it's Return to Work SA. Those deadlines are normally in July as well, or maybe early August. I can't remember off the top of my head. Those different things. If you're registered for GST, you're likely going to have a BAS that's going to be due by end of July. So there's lots of things that are due in July for businesses and for individuals. But individuals don't necessarily have those things due. If you're lodging yourself, you've got to the end of October. If you're lodging through an agent, you've got until likely the middle of May next year, unless you've been late in previous years. So that's just a few things. And then obviously, like I said, we flow into August onwards, and that's when, you can keep lodging your return. Like I said, it's not due in July. You don't need to get it done there, but that keeps flowing through. Got more businesses that will have a BAS due in August. And so a lot of my July and August is focused on tax returns, processing those individual tax returns. I like to get as many of those done in July, August, and September because it allows me to then focus on more advisory work with my business clients, etc. And a lot of business clients end up paying. So they're not too fussed about getting their returns done early. But I've got some that need them done early July, whether it's for finance purchases, maybe it's for child support, or whether it's for Centrelink or different things like that. They want to get it done early. Maybe they are due a refund, etc., due to some changes in business circumstances, etc. So I do have a handful of those that I like to get done in July and August, and I really start to then focus on them in September. So that's kind of how my, the first 4 to 6 months of the year looks like. It's like heavy processing of those simple tax returns or those that really need it done in July and August, then starts to switch in September, October to businesses. And I always like to get as 99% of my compliance work done by the end of December. And that way I can start focusing on more business growth strategies with clients from January to June, like I have been tax planning and all those kind of things. So yeah, Max has joined. I'm here, better late than never. Thanks, Max. It's good to see a few of you swinging by. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's the thing is that there's lots happening. It's not just tax, as an accountant, it's not like I'm just busy in July. I try to spread out my workload over 12 months, and there's normally something I'm working on every month. Like I said, individual tax returns flows into businesses, flows into, business growth activities. Then it's into the tax planning. I've done a lot of work over the last, probably 2 months on internal structuring within the business, make sure that I've done my own budgets and KPIs and stuff like that, but also done what can I systemize better so that I have a better experience for clients, from the time they onboard as a new client through to the time of signing a return. How can I make that process simpler, a better experience for people so that they, happy with the service? I mean, the biggest way any kind of service business normally grows, and mine's no exception, is through referrals. So, if you've had a good experience with me and you refer me on to another person, that really helps me grow my business. And it obviously means it also gives you that feedback. Well, I must be doing something well for that client. So referrals are a great way. And therefore, I'm always trying to adapt and build the business around, providing better quality service to people so that those referrals happen. So I'll jump into the NFT project soon. I did have a couple of questions that did come through. One was I missed a few weeks ago. So I think the person that asked it is in the chat. So it was talking about what can employees do to reduce tax before 30th of June. And there's not a lot if you work for someone that you can do, because obviously you're limited to work-related deductions compared to a business has a lot more flexibility on what they can do. So it's really only, like I talked about earlier on, Chris asked the question, it's like, okay, is there stuff that you were going to spend? Like, are you going to make a donation to charity? Get that done. Are you making a voluntary contribution to super? Like I said, that should have been done a little bit earlier. Have you got maybe a license that you need to renew and you've been putting it off, and that's for work-related purposes, a high-risk license, for instance, and that. Is there maybe a software that you could pay for in advance for you? You've got a subscription, you can pay it monthly or 12 months. Maybe you do that before 30th of June, just little bits and pieces like that. Some accountants, like a few clients of mine, prepay their accounting fees before 30th of June. So that could be another way to do it. You could buy a Rooshock's NFT. That'd be a great way to do it. There's different ways that you could definitely look at doing it, but there's not huge things that employees can do, because there's no point taking on an additional cost if you don't need it. Like that's just, spending more money. So I've let people know about your NFT project, high corporate flyers, and they're super impressed how progressive you are. And thank you. I really appreciate any time that anyone's like spreads the word about anything I'm doing. Like that's what keeps motivating me to do it, because it allows me to reach more people. So, and that's how a lot of you guys have come in the comments, through referrals from other people. So I've seen the NFT project was featured on a podcast / YouTube channel the other day, and they spoke about, these were two guys from America, and spoke about it for a good 5 minutes, and we're just like blown away by the concept. It was really cool to hear people that have no idea who I am, no use for the project, like they've probably got no reason to want to be involved, but they were there talking about it and talking about how cool and how the example was set. So that's something I'm trying to do, is show people an example of how an NFT project can be done. So I appreciate that, Captain Opshop. So that's employees. And then the other question was like, do I need to know my partner's earnings to lodge my own tax? This is a really interesting one that's actually come up with another client I've been dealing with today, is that technically the answer is yes. To lodge your return, you have to put in your spouse details if you've got a partner, and they vary from obviously their name, date of birth, have you been partnered for the whole year or is it a partial year? And then it wants your spouse's basic taxable details. So, taxable income, if they've got fringe benefits, so salary sacrificing, and a range of different fields that would come from their tax return. So ideally, two spouses would lodge their returns at the same time, because then they know those figures are correct. Now, there's plenty of people that don't do this. And these are some of the problems that can cause. So I had a client recently that told me they didn't have a spouse. And upon lodging their next year's return, I noticed the ATO had done an amendment. And it turned out they actually did have a spouse. They didn't tell me that. I rang the ATO, had a bit of back and forth to try and find out what had happened. But the end of the day, their spouse actually had a high taxable income, and therefore their combined taxable income pushed them over the Medicare levy surcharge limit, and therefore it affected their return. So for a lot of people, sometimes spouse's income actually won't really make much difference. People can put an estimate in and it might make no difference to your return. Therefore, even when the ATO do that data matching, it results in a $0 difference. So therefore, there's no amendment or anything like that. But the issue can be is that if you can't provide a close or accurate estimate, then you run the risk that things could fall out of whack and you could end up with an amendment, etc. So just depends. Yes, ideally, in an ideal situation, you'd know their exact details. You'd both lodge at the same time. You could lodge with some kind of estimate, but you want to make sure that estimate is in the ballpark figures, and maybe have a chat to your accountant, if it's close. So, for instance, the combined as a couple Medicare levy surcharge bracket sits at $180,000. So, for instance, if you earn $100,000, your partner's maybe earned around the $75,000 to $80,000. Then maybe you want to wait to get those figures right, because it might push you over. If you've earned 100 and they've only earned 10,000, it's not going to affect anything else. It's not going to affect any kind of family tax benefit payments, anything like that. Then maybe you can go ahead and lodge. So, well, I'm not lodging for yonks and my wife's lack of tax keeping skills. There's plenty of people that have a lack of tax keeping skills, to put it nicely. Let's just say that. So I think people are strongly underestimating what are they missing out on. So I hope that's referring to the NFT project, Chris. And I'm gonna have to jump into. I do want to talk about it. And if anyone's got any questions about tax time, now's the time to ask. But I want to talk about the NFT project, because I think people are not realizing some of the value that this is providing. So NFT project is still well and truly live and going. I'll probably try and share my screen in a second, but I'm making some major changes that will come into play, but aren't going to affect some of the things I talk about today. But I've definitely got some really good, exciting things planned with that. And I really do appreciate those that have jumped on board. We did a live Q&A over on Discord, similar to this, but in much more depth, and was able to answer a lot more questions with like 5 or 6 people. And it was really cool. I had a lot of fun doing it. Those people got a lot of value out of it. That was just free for holders. So like, it's not just about the utilities. And I know this is going to be a bit of a sales pitch, but I really want to get more people involved, because those things, that was really fun. And I think the people that were, on that live got a lot of value, like way more than what I've ever been able to give anywhere else. That was really exciting. I will share my screen, but so I've got some changes coming to make the marketing of it a little bit clearer, which will hopefully be able to explain, what each token comes with at an easier way. So that's something I'm excited about. So At right now, the ones that are probably key are all these ones with the white backgrounds, like the accountant or the beachsider, the bride, and they're priced at 0.08 ETH, which when I initially priced these, that was sitting around about the $300 mark. So I'll scroll down to where we've got three of them here. So we've got the gamer, the golfer, and the groom. So at the start, they were $300. They come with three individual tax returns. So you buy one of them and you get 3 years of returns for us. So $100 each. That's about, I charge $99 for a basic individual tax return. That's around the price. You might have, picked up a little bit better with, if you had rental properties and stuff, you're going to get even better value. Well, the price of ETH has plummeted, I'd say, if you want to put it nicely. So now to buy that, they're probably around about the 120 Australian dollar mark. So you're going to get three individual tax returns for that price, plus you own the NFT. So you're going to get to go to those, exclusive chats that are hosted and stuff like that. So for those that are considering using my services, I don't see why you wouldn't get involved. I'm happy to talk people through the process, etc. We had another one sell this morning. And, you might get 1 year done and maybe you can sell the character. And after that, if you want, someone else might buy it off you. Like, that's the cool thing. So that's what I'm trying to do with the project. Sorry, we've got some spam comments coming through here. So I will get rid of those now. So that's one of the, cool things that, sorry, I'm just trying to, I think hopefully the spam's gone. If it's still sitting there, I do apologize. That's one of so that's one of the cool things. We do have, the unique wealth builders, which are the grey background characters, such as the flipper. So I've got some exciting news with the flipper soon, the fire investors. So that comes with the one tax return and then 3 one-on-one meetings with me. So we can talk about tax strategy, business. These are great for like crypto investors or property investors or business owners, etc., that want that little bit more access. And then we do have all the non-people characters, but there's some major changes coming to some of those that I think will really entice you. There'll be some that are really built around like loyalty and stuff like that. So I'm very excited for that. And definitely excited to, go through some of those changes with you and keep providing additional value through things like, those live one-on-ones I did on Discord. I'm going to have some stuff around crypto tax training and things like that. So I do really appreciate those that have jumped in and really excited about. So look, if you're interested in getting involved, look, there's never been a better time. If you're interested, have a chat, send me a message after this or whatever, and I'll talk you through the process. At the moment I lose out on when I sell some of the originals, but I'm just loving the project, loving unfolding and hoping to get more people involved. So I do appreciate those that have jumped in, and I'll continue to talk about that going forward. Thanks for reporting, Chris. So I did need something else, but yes, you missed that chat. Yeah, so OpShop, Captain OpShop Nerd is one of the NFT holders. So we've got a few of you guys. In fact, I think at least 3-4 of you that have joined the chat, all NFT holders. So you guys already know all about this. So what is your take on the difference between trader and investor, and can we be both? Yes, you can be both, but you really want to clearly define it. I've got a video. I'm probably going to have to do another one on this because it's coming up all the time. And especially this year, I can imagine there's going to be a lot of debates on this. The ATO only put out an article I've seen this morning or news media about, don't try and claim your losses if you're not truly a trader. So it's a really gray area in a lot of times because there's no one thing that makes you a trader or an investor. The reason people may want to be a trader is because you're going to be taxed on where you can use the trading stock rules, which means market value at the end of the year. So if you put in investments and it's dropped, but the thing is, it goes the other way as well. So I've had clients that have been traders in the past that have made good value and unrealized gains, not sold anything, and it's caught them back the other way. So, I think the key difference is what's your actual approach at the time of doing it, not just reflecting on it going, I should have been a trader because it works better for me tax-wise. What have you done to show that you're running a business of trading? What's your experience with it? Have you gone to maybe setting up a business entity may help with that because you can prove that, well, look, I did this, did that. How long are you spending on this kind of stuff? What kind of records are you keeping? What's your knowledge of, are you actually day trading? Are you trading out? What is your experience with all these things? Because understanding that is going to help. So, I do have the video. I'd highly recommend you go check it out. I'm probably will do another one, try and tweak it a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be talking about the same things. It comes down to those same facts. Go to the ATO website. They do talk about this kind of stuff and, have a look about, are you running a business? Is this a hobby or is a business? Those kind of same things all kind of apply. You're looking, are you running a business? That's what it is at the end of the day. and your business is day trading or trading stocks or trading crypto, that's trading NFTs, etc. So understanding that will help you make that decision. So hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer. So yeah, so that's a little bit of what's going on. What's the upcoming on the channel? So look, if anyone else does any comments, chuck them in. Going forward, like I said, I've got a video coming out tomorrow. I think it's one of the most exciting videos, although I did say that about the one I had the other day, which was, I forgot the name of it before. What was the one? Sorry, I'm just going to have a look at that was. The 4 key areas on the ATO hit list. So if you haven't checked that one out, I really recommend you go check that out, because some of these key areas the ATO are focusing on. So you really want to get those things right. And then, yeah, like I said, tomorrow it's going to be maximizing your return for 2022. So a good, part for you to look as if you're going to go lodge your own return. This isn't all about me trying to bring clients to my business. That was never the intention when I started the channel. It's all about providing value, talking about things like that. So, I'm here to, if you're lodging your own return, which 50% of you guys when I did a poll over on YouTube, 50% of people said they lodged their own returns. And that's, I'm not here just to try and get more clients. Well, that's not what I'm here for at all. It's for me to, help people with their returns and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the thing. We've got thoughts on the recent changes to CTC, Crypto Tax Calculator. Yeah, they keep making improvements. The software's definitely come a long way in the last 12 months, way more than what I've seen in things like Coinly, which is good news. They're handling NFTs much better. They're doing some good things around when you bridge crypto assets between different blockchains, so that's exciting. They did change the look of it. I wasn't a big fan to start with, but I've worked my way around it. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done in the transfers when you're transferring funds between your own wallets. It's still very messy. I'm having a lot of conversations with support around that. But overall, yeah, I think it's going in a positive direction. Random question, what do you think is a good average operating profit margin for a small business? Do you mean like, depends which profit margin you're talking, because that could mean different things. Obviously, I mean, gross profit margin is going to be different depending on every business kind of thing, depending on what industry. So I know, I've got a few resellers here, and typically you'll get better margins on your, you'll get better margins on your sales than what, say, a traditional retail would be, because you're typically buying things for a couple of dollars and selling at a higher price, but maybe you're not turning over the number of stock that traditional retail would be. I mean, the old school thing was 30% margins and stuff like that, but yeah, it depends on industry. And then overall profit margin, again, that's going to depend. I think the thing with that is you've got to have a look at something quite interesting is and I know it's not for everyone, but something I do, I mean, I personally do it, and I've set up a whole bunch of KPI tracking and spreadsheets starting for next financial year, is around how many hours are you actually spending in your business. And I mean, I track that pretty accurately across everything I do in my business. And it's just something I really like doing. I like seeing those numbers, but going, how many hours do you actually spend in your business across the whole? I think this is a better way to look at it for small business. And go, okay, well, on average, are you spending 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week? What does that work out over a whole year? How many total hours worked? And then look at what's the profit, and then work that into an hourly rate and go, how much did I actually make per hour? If you've worked 50 hours a week and you're only earning $50,000 a year, you might want to go, well, hang on, I'm only earning, however many dollars per hour. Is this really worth my stress, or am I better off just to go and do a 38-hour week for someone else and get paid and not take that stress on? So I don't think it's necessarily about like margins and stuff like that with business for overall. I think you're better off to look at hourly rate for hours you're putting in. It's a little bit harder that might be a little bit more trickier to do once you've got employees and stuff like that. And then in the individual business, what I think is great, go to the ATO, find some benchmarking through the ATO, and then have a look at, okay, well, what's the benchmark? How much is the average cafe getting for their gross profit margin? How much are they spending on? They do provide some good little breakdowns there. They're not always up to date or overly accurate, but at least you can see, what are they spending on? I think motor vehicles, something they do versus sales, cost of goods versus sales. They might look at, profit. They may look at profit versus sales, those kind of things. So I think it's really going to depend on business when it comes to individual margins, like gross profit margins, and even potentially, net margins, etc. But I think a really interesting key figure to look at is total hours, you've worked as a business owner versus what profit is able to return back to you. So when I've looked at that for my business, I know I'm earning more per hour than what I would have in any of the previous places I worked for. So for me, I know, well, the hours I'm putting in is more. So therefore, me running a business is worth it because I am making more per hour than what I would have there. Plus, I love what I'm doing. Plus, I'm building. I can see that going up every year as I work harder and, hopefully get to a point where I'm like, okay, I've got a really solid client base like I do at the moment. I really enjoy working with them. And at the same time, it is profitable for me. I think anyone that's, running a business, you'd be silly to say it's not wise. And as long as, when you're in these business relationships, whether it's with customers, whether it's with clients, etc., if you're giving more value than you're getting back, you're always going to be in a good position in the long run because your clients are going to be loyal to you. So if I know I'm helping people and they feel like they're getting more value for it than what they're paying for it, it's always going to be good. Like, I can't go wrong doing that. That's what I'm always trying to do. And I hope that's, why I do these YouTube channels, why I'll sit here for half an hour on a Wednesday night and just chat to you guys. And that's the whole point, is for me to, I'm not here. I mean, I've obviously chatted about the NFT project a bit and done a bit of a cheap plug on that, but it's not about, I suppose you haven't seen here at all really say about come to me and do accounting work. It's not really about that. It's just constantly giving value. And if you're interested in my service, you'll come at the end of the day. But I just enjoy making the content. That's why I'm doing it. So great insights. Thanks, Chris. So I'll probably wrap things up there. Like I said, it's almost, I'm actually really excited for this financial year. I've got a lot of things I want to achieve in it. A lot of people I'm helping with. I've signed up quite a few new business clients. That's exciting. Got some really exciting stuff with the NFT project over the next couple of months. That's going to expand. And I can't wait to be here on, 30th of June next year and talk to you guys about where it's all been at. So appreciate, like I said, I will put that one last cheap plug in for the NFT project. And obviously, if anyone does want those things, you know where to find me. Appreciate you watching and take care.